If I were to say life before, there's a spiral downhill of, gosh, I look terrible, gosh, I feel terrible, boy, life sucks, and boy, people don't like me, and do I really like them, and self-judgment and judgment outward, and that you're just going nowhere. Whereas if you do it the other way, it goes up. It's all uphill. It's like, God, I love life. Man, I look good. Boy, I feel great. Isn't she beautiful? Isn't she wonderful? I love you. And there's no judgment. It's all open compassion and pure bliss. That's where Limitless comes in. Hi, I'm Diana Stobo. I am a motivational speaker, author of 2 books, and a raw food advocate. I'm also a health and wellness coach and facilitate and empower people for eating for health, vibrance, and beauty. I grew up in a pretty normal household. My parents were very into food, and my mother was a farmer, kind of a farm girl, old-fashioned way of doing things, and my dad's Persian, so everything was always centered around food. And I had a pretty tumultuous upbringing in the sense that I was a divorced family, so I kind of hid behind my own insecurities in my own life by eating. That was my comfort. And really didn't understand food. I don't think anybody did at that time. And I grew up I was born in '65, I grew up in the '70s, and there was all these new packaged foods, and my stepmother was so into all the packaged foods, so we were always trying new things, and my body was always itching and tingling. I remember telling her, I'm tingling, I'm tingling. And what it was, and I've discovered, is the toxins that were coming into my body, and my body was so sensitive. I grew up in Southern California and ended up going to college there, and then got married and moved to Ithaca, New York to go to Cornell, and ended up having my babies and doing the whole thing that people do, and I realized I was just getting more unhealthy. And when I gave birth to my twins, I literally blew up so much because my body was so full of toxins that I blew up to this enormous person. I couldn't even recognize it. It freaked me out. I kind of, obviously after I gave birth, I started to kind of go down a little bit, but I was still holding on to a good 30 or 40 pounds of weight. But not just that, I had ulcers, I had chronic fatigue syndrome, I had thyroiditis, or whatever they call it, Hashimoto's. The list was so long of the issues that I had. What they started to do is give me more pills, pain in my shoulders, pain in my back, pain in my kidneys, swollen legs, edema. It just went on. And I remember one morning waking up, and on the side of my bed I had 3 or 4 medications sitting there, and I couldn't get out of bed unless I took those medications. And I was only 33 years old at the time. And I thought, this is crazy. Within, I don't know, maybe 2 months after that, I ended up in the hospital with a bleeding ulcer. And it just completely shook my world. And my sister called out of the blue. The universe always provides when you need it most. And my sister calls and she says, you've got to read this book, The Body Ecology Diet. And so I opened it up, and it was about probiotics and really, cleaning out the system. And then I started opening more books. And within a couple days, I had created a list of foods to take out of my body that were going to help me. And I did. And within 10 days, I lost 10 pounds, my ulcer subsided, the bags under my eyes went away, and I literally shifted my entire life in 10 days. So I continued and continued and continued until I got to a place where I was so healthy. I was so healthy that I was starting to feel all the smaller details, the little things that you don't think about, like skin or hair or nails or a little pain in the gallbladder. So the more I started to peel away, each layer of onion that came off, I felt something deeper. And my psyche changed, my mental state changed, my emotional state changed, and my whole world started to open up. And then I realized people were coming to my home, and I was teaching them, and I was giving recipes, and people were calling me about their children's acne or their issues with weight or their depression. And so it dawned on me that this is really what I'm supposed to be doing. So again, the universe intervened, and I started to write a book about my life story. And as I was writing my life story, someone said, why don't you write a book? Because they started asking questions. Why don't you write a book about how to? You keep telling us how you did it, but how can we do it? So then I created my book, Get Naked Fast, based on all the questions that people were asking me. And it started off as like a little pamphlet. I was just going to give you, here's a pamphlet for you, here's a pamphlet for you, and it turned into a book. And it became a 2-time award-winning book. It was just out of my kitchen, creating the simplest, easiest, most attainable and accessible foods for everyone to get get naked, get healthy in 10 days. And I got to tell you, the testimonials are off the charts. People, you don't hear from people a lot, but all of a sudden, 4 or 5 months later, you'll get an email from someone going, "I've lost 120 pounds following your book. I've changed my whole life following your book. 4 months ago, I was here. Look at me now." And I love it because you don't know who's reading it. You don't know what's happening out in the world or who you're affecting. But all of a sudden, it comes back to you. You're like, I'm actually making a change. I'm actually helping people like myself make changes in their life. I've actually learned how to go even deeper because a lot of times it's not about food. A lot of times it's about self-loathing or abuse or depression, sadness that comes from history of childhood. And so I work with people to really take it to the next level, because what we do when it comes to food is we make everything about something so small when it's really a bigger picture. One of the things that we talk about when I do coaching one-on-one is we get beyond the food and they start wrapping it around something that they can control. And in fact, it's about releasing control. It's about thinking, wow, this is not about what I'm going to put in my body in the meal, because they're perpetuating the issue rather than just trusting. Women have not learned to trust their own bodies. We haven't learned to take all that information, all that intuition, all that self-love that we were blessed with. And somehow we've been squashed into this place where we don't trust our beauty and our goddessness. So we go into this punishment. Trusting ourselves is key. And getting out of this cycle of controlling the food, controlling the exercise. If I exercise 3 hours a day, I'm going to have everything under control. I find that the less exercise I do, that's focused exercise, the stronger and healthier my body is. Walking in nature for an hour is the ultimate. Stretching, dancing is better. My body's in better shape now than when I worked out 3 hours a day, because it's self-love. It's trusting what my body needs. Your life is cyclical. We're based on patterns, and there's like this vibration of aroundness. So we have all these things. You have self-loathing, fear, guilt, anger. All these things start to spiral, and they're a process. You interject one positive thing, be it food, be it meditation, happiness, smiles, and then that starts to spin and create a cyclical effect. So you enter through food, or you enter through meditation, or you enter through clarity, yoga, walking, whatever it is that is your breaking point into the cycle can change your whole vibration. I make the simplest foods, make them easy and pretty, and one recipe will change somebody's whole thought process around food. You never know who you're going to hit by making some kind of thing that says, wow, I was afraid that if I gave up coffee, my life would be over. And I make this Morning Glory milkshake that has low acid coffee in it, and suddenly all the coffee drinkers in the world who are afraid of getting healthy are now so healthy that have found me, because they're like, yes, thank you, I thought I had to give it up. So I allow everybody to find their comfort zone in the process of being the best that they can be. So my business is at a place where what's really beautiful is I have a membership site, and that is expanding, and so my focus is really on them and giving them all the support they need. I do a lot of one-on-one, and I do calls, which I think is really great. That's very inspirational. I have a program called the Naked Challenge where people sign up, and that was actually just a fluke. I thought of it because I was writing a book called the Naked Challenge, and I started doing some challenges online, and suddenly it's a huge hit, and people are really changing their life. In 10 days, the changes are phenomenal. And it's a lot for me because I carry all of them inside me during the process, but the reward is it's unbelievable. When I work with somebody who's working on an issue, I can completely identify with their issue, and it's the compassion that I feel and gain from their experience is so rewarding on so many levels. I'm a rags to riches story. I'm an ugly duckling to a swan story. So I have that to give, and I think that there's a lot of people who would like to, hold out hope that they can be the rich swan in all aspects.